Today, we're going to break down the major differences between homeschooling and traditional schooling.
Hi everyone, this is Dr. Sharmila
And this is Ashley.
and a very warm welcome to our channel Parenting.
Subscribe to stay updated on all things related to homeschooling. We post new and helpful content every single week on Wednesday.
Watch till the end to find out how homeschooling can be actually more expensive than traditional schooling, or not.
I mean, yeah, guys, this is pretty crazy. Just a little disclaimer before we get started: we're not disrespecting either of the homeschooling or okay. Just just a little disclaimer before we get started. We're not disrespecting either of the schooling options. We just want to share our knowledge so it can help you guys out.
Absolutely. But I think it's very, very important to weigh out the pros and cons before making life decisions such as homeschooling, traditional schooling. So we have about 6 different pros and cons that I think will help you make this life decision. So you want to get started, Ashley?
Yes. So coming in at number 1, traditional schooling has a more rigid system and homeschooling can be a little more flexible. So what do I mean by that? By that we mean that when it comes to traditional schooling, you have a set amount of hours that you have to go to school or attend online classes. You have a set curriculum that you have to do. You have set homework and things are kind of in place. But when it comes to homeschooling, you have a lot more flexibility in terms of choosing the kind of things you want to study about, what you use most of your time for, and how you school yourself.
Very true. Very true. Okay, moving on to number 2. In homeschooling, you have to hold yourself responsible, whereas in traditional schooling, you are held responsible. Let me explain what that means to you. So when you go to a traditional school, you have a set timetable, you have a teacher who's there to make sure that you're completing your work on time, you're submitting your homework, everything is happening, and it's like it's very seamless. You just have to follow what is being given. Whereas in homeschooling, you have no one looking out for you. You need to be you need to hold yourself responsible. If you know that today this is what you have to complete, then you just have to go ahead and do it. So holding yourself responsible or making sure that someone else is taking care of you is a choice that you get to make between being homeschooled or being in a traditional schooling system.
So coming in at number 3, this might be a little obvious, but we'll tell you what's not obvious about this as well. So when you're in traditional schooling, it can be a little more social, and when you're homeschooled, it can be a little less social. Now, the only reason why we put this on the list was because when you're in traditional schooling, you're learning with a lot of people in class, and when you're homeschooled, you're either learning by yourself or you're only learning with your siblings. Now, why this can be completely untrue is because we know a lot of homeschooling kids who go and they join clubs and classes and different things that require them to go outside and socialize with a lot of kids. So that way they're still being social, but when it comes to the studying aspect of it, it's a little different.
Very well said. Very well said. In fact, we have a video just for how to socialize. We'll leave the link. You need to check that out. Moving on to point number 4. In traditional schooling, you have less time. And in homeschooling, there's more time. Let me explain that to you. In traditional schooling, what happens is the 8 hours that you have in school is clearly cut out minute by minute for you, right from lunch to your breaks to every period. You have it drawn out well before what is it that you have to do. So taking some time off in between school is something that usually is not that common. Okay, but whereas in homeschooling, you actually have the entire day to you. It's up to you whether you want to use it or lose it. That's a different question.
Nice.
Different question altogether. But with homeschooling, there's a lot more time. So what you can actually do is not just academics, but you can do more than academics. You can do so much good to the community as well.
Awesome. I love that. Now, that brings us to the fifth point, and that is when you're in traditional schooling, when you're going to school, you're learning at the pace of others or you're learning at the pace that the teacher sets, right? So, if you're someone who needs a little more time to study, then you don't get that essentially. And if you're someone who finishes studying before everyone else, you essentially have to wait for everyone to finish before you can move on. Versus when you're homeschooled, you learn at the pace of yourself. So at the pace that you set for yourself. So if there's a topic that you need more time to study, then you can give yourself that. But again, this also comes with its negative aspects, because when the teacher is controlling the pace of the students, you kind of are on track to complete the syllabus. Whereas here you can get a little slacky as well. But again, it depends on, like she said, you can either make or break it. So yeah, that's a distinctive difference between the two options: learn at the pace of others or learn at your own pace.
So coming back to the important question, can homeschooling be more expensive than traditional schooling or not? The point is, yes, it can, depending on what you add into your schooling bucket. If it is just academics, definitely it's not going to be that expensive. But in addition to academics, if you're learning new skills, you're going and taking certification, or there's a lot of travel and experiential learning opportunities out there, if you get that, then the child becomes more of a global citizen, and definitely that is going to be more expensive than just traditional schooling.
Yes, so either options can be expensive as well as cost effective, depending on what you want to do. So it really depends on you and your family and how you want to take this journey on. But something that we did that was pretty helpful for us was that we sat down and wrote a list of expenses that are involved in homeschooling. So these expenses can include the cost of your books, the cost of tuition, the cost of, say, extra classes that you're taking, travel if that's what you want to do. And then you can look at how much your normal school is charging you. And depending on which one you want to choose, you can do that.
Absolutely. In fact, for Ashley, what I really wanted was to provide her an experience outside of just the classroom. So I made sure that she traveled and she attended summer schools and international experiential learning opportunities.
So depending on what you decide to do, homeschooling can be expensive and cost effective, but it's completely up to you. So much fun hanging out with you guys today. We hope that this conversation was insightful for you. And if it was, we'd love for you to join the family by subscribing down below for more content related to homeschooling. Take it away.
It was amazing catching up with each and every one of you. And I'm sure you enjoyed this as much as we did sharing our journey with you. Till we catch you next week, take good care. Ciao.